This is Colleen with Colleen Cosplay, and I'm going to tell you my full disability story. This is a sad story. It's a very sad story. Like, I'm gonna make it sound like a happy ending, and there's a lot of good that's come of it, but it's sad. I also have another video kind of about this subject, and I'll link that in the description down below, and it isn't as in-depth. It just says, hey, I have a disability and I cosplay. This video is meant to really tell you my story, which I think can be very inspiring, but it's sad, and I didn't want to make you guys sad. But I asked over on Instagram, and a few of you said you would be interested in hearing the full story, so here we are. So I guess I started having symptoms when I was like 17, and I was running cross country and track. I ran year round. I did the cross country, and I did that all 4 years of high school. And then in winter, I would do winter training, and I'd run all winter. Then in spring, I would do track and field, and I would run hurdles. And then in summer, I would go back to summer training. So I ran year round, generally 5 to 6 days a week. I would run anywhere from like 3 to 6 miles. I wasn't super good at it though. So I was JV all 4 years. But it's kind of what I did to relieve my stress. Like, if I was mad about anything, I would just go for a run, and that was so good for me. It was so stress relieving to just like leave it on the pavement, you know, just pound it out, okay? And that's how I dealt with my stress. And so I was having some pain in my knee, and the problem with that is it was hard to diagnose because I couldn't say exactly what happened that made it hurt. Bird, please, could we have a moment? There was basically no thing that I could tell a doctor. Like, there was no like blunt force trauma story I could give doctors. So it was really hard to figure out what was wrong. All I knew was it hurt and like roughly where it hurt. And so I kind of thought it was tied into something else I was doing at the time. In addition to cross country and track, I was also training and riding horses. I did that starting when I was 9 years old. And that was something I did, like, I was super good at. And as I got older, I started training horses. I did equestrian jumping. I also spent my summers cleaning out horse stalls to help pay for lessons. I spent a lot of time at the stables, and I also did this running and school on top of that. I've always been very busy. At the time, I thought it was a horse riding injury. I would ride horses that would occasionally buck. I would ride horses that would try to run away. Before I'd had like really bad symptoms, I'd been riding a horse and the horse had been bucking, and I'm super stubborn, so I wouldn't fall off, so I just, you know, held on. And I thought that was originally what had like caused it. Even though I've ridden like a bucking horse like loads of times at this point, but who knows, like, I just know it hurts and I don't know why. So that's kind of what I was coming to people with. And so it was originally diagnosed, it was a meniscus injury is what we were calling it, just because the location, it's directly under my kneecap that it hurts. Birds! Well, my senior year, I didn't run as much because my knee really hurt. It was really hard to do hurdles, which I was like really bad at, but I loved it so much because it's like you're flying. So I was having a lot of trouble jumping hurdles, but track and field was over and I was graduating high school, and at that point I was like, it'll probably figure itself out. So I didn't worry too much. And after my graduation, I got my own horse. So I pretty much dropped running altogether. I have my horse, which it takes a lot more time to take care of your own horse. And I also thought that if I gave it like a year off, it wouldn't hurt anymore because we still weren't sure what was wrong. I spent like a whole year just doing college, taking care of my horse, and I was working at the time. And then we get into when I was doing martial arts. And that's a lot of what you guys have seen. Like, if you go way back into my videos, my really old ones, you'll see videos of me doing karate. So that's kind of a big deal. So my freshman year of college, at the very end, I decided to get into martial arts, and I was doing Shotokan karate, and that was basically, it replaced running for me. And I was still taking care of my horse. I usually did that at like 6 in the morning till like 7. Then I would go to school and go to work. And then in the evenings, I would do karate. And karate just became such a huge thing for me because I'd already lost running. I'd pretty much given up on running entirely. And karate, it wasn't such high impact, which sounds weird because some of it is, but running, you're just like smash, 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 like smashing your bones into the ground. And like I was doing it properly, I had the right equipment, I had good running shoes, but it still is like very high impact. Whereas karate, a lot of the kata, that's kind of what I did in my Tamari skit at Kuroneko-con last year. A lot of the kata is just kind of stepping, going through motions. I picked up karate and karate became my new running. And that was honestly huge to me because I had really missed running. I'd missed it so much and I'd found other things pretty much. I was still hoping I'd be able to get back to it. And I did try a few times and I was just, it wasn't gonna work. I got like, what, like a quarter of a mile and I was like, I can't do this, it hurts too much. So karate was my new thing. And karate was now the thing I did when I was upset, when I was stressed. Karate was my new thing that I just did all the time. And I really wanted to be a martial artist. I maybe didn't identify as a runner so much because I wasn't very good at it. But karate, I seemed to actually have some sort of like natural talent at it, which was kind of crazy. I had never, like, with any of my sports been really good. And so then I got into martial arts and I was an athlete again. And I was like actually working out and I had like the most beautiful calves, okay? So when I was running and like doing martial arts, my calves were like whoosh, smooth. And life was really like stressful, but really great for about a year-ish. And I eventually ended up doing mechanical engineering for my college degree. After that year, I got to the point where I was good enough at karate, I could compete. And I can also join our dojo's nationals team. This is the team that trains to go to nationals for karate. So on top of school, work, and taking care of my horse, on top of all that, I also decided to join the national team at my dojo and compete. And it was around that time that my knee got really bad. And I was like, we should get this checked out again because my knee was getting worse. So we go to the doctor again. We had seen the doctor before and he'd kind of been like, this is a little weird. I'm not sure what to do. Maybe you're making it up. Maybe there's just some inflammation. Who knows? So I was coming back 2 years later and I was like, hey doc, it's been 2 whole years and it's still not better. Like I've waited a good amount of time. 2 years is a long time and it's still not good. So we got an MRI again. We looked into it a little more and the doctor was still like, I don't know, this could be anything, but I don't know. And the thing is, back then the pain was only when I like really worked out. So it wasn't bad, but I could foresee with doing nationals team it was getting worse, and it was getting worse every time I went to practice. So then December, I am going to have an arthroscopic knee surgery. So what this is a surgery where they just open up your knee and they just kind of look inside to see what's up because nothing from the MRI was really conclusive and they still didn't know what was wrong, but at this point they believed I was honestly in pain. And that is when I was diagnosed with my cartilage disorder. So it is called Patellofemoral chondrosis is what it's called. It's a long one. Or you can just say chondrosis. Patellofemoral just tells you the location at which the chondrosis is occurring. And there's this cartilage on the bottom of the kneecap, and that cartilage wasn't attached to my kneecap, or I mean, it was only a little piece that was detached, but it's rather painful, as you can imagine. And there were other things wrong there, like it was deteriorating, there were kind of like weird pieces and stuff in there. So at that point the doctor was like, oh, I know what's wrong, and I can tell you weren't making it up and you were in pain because your cartilage is falling off. There are things you can do for it, for chondrosis. One of those things is called microfracture, and that is where you drill holes in the bone in order to like stimulate blood flow, and it will hopefully help your body heal the cartilage. And so they did try that. They drilled holes in the bottom surface of my patella, and that was unsuccessful. And the thing is, the bottom surface of your patella is the hardest place to apply cartilage. It's just this rounded surface. It's kind of like hard to reach to, but it's like round and concave and it's a weird shape. So at this point, I know I have a problem. I've taken 3 months off of karate. So I was doing karate pretty much all the way up till the surgery, and it hurt like crazy, but I was doing it anyways. If you haven't already picked up on it, I'm a very stubborn person. then afterwards, and this is something I really kind of regret, after I had recovered from arthroscopic knee surgery, I then spent the next 3 months working out as a brown belt. And I think I dropped nationals team, but I was still doing brown belt class, and it was, that's one thing I like. All the stuff before the surgery, I don't regret that as much because I didn't know anything was wrong. But at this point, I know cartilage is detaching from my knee, and I'm still doing martial arts. I am still going to brown belt class, and I still tested for my next level of brown belt. And that, if I was gonna say there was one thing I regretted, that would be it, because it was not enjoyable at all. It was very painful, and I pushed myself to do it anyways, and I make a really hard decision. I do not quit, okay? Katie, Colleen Cosplay, whatever, I don't quit. I pretty much never quit. And if something isn't working, I work harder, which I think is why I still wanted to do karate. Like, even though it didn't make sense, it was illogical, I was like, I bet if I just keep doing karate with a progressive cartilage disorder, it'll all be better because I'm working really hard even though it really, really hurts. That was not good for me. And I could tell it was getting really, really bad, and this was not sustainable. And karate, it just isn't as fun when you're in extreme pain the whole time. So I finally made the decision to quit. And Katie Colleen had never quit at anything in her life before. Not really. Not something I wanted to do. Like, it was okay to quit if I just didn't want to do it, if it wasn't my thing. But I didn't quit stuff if I wanted to do it. Like, there was a huge change mentally here. The very last time I did karate was at KuroNekoCon when I did the skit as Tamari. And that kata I performed is called Shoshin. That was supposed to be my nationals kata. So that was the kata I was practicing at nationals team. You know, if you've been keeping track of the things that I do to relieve my stress, there was running. Running didn't work, so I just kind of left it behind. Then I found this new amazing thing in karate, and that was my stress relief. Like, I would just punch stuff if I was mad. I would go at it. That was my stress relief, and then that was gone. And I still had my horse at this time, and I mean, that's honestly great. If you're not feeling good, go ride your horse. And I had learned sewing a year earlier. I was gonna be one of those cosplayers who just made like one cosplay a year, maybe two. Like, I was not super into it because I was so busy with everything else. I take sewing really seriously at this point. I am upset because I had to quit karate. I'm very upset. So I take sewing very seriously. And when I say very seriously, I mean sewing 20 hours a week or more. And that summer, I was taking a mechatronics class over the summer. So I was in summer school, and I was working about 30 hours a week. And whenever I was not doing those things, I was sewing, and I got really good really fast. And I just cranked out cosplays because at this point I had closed myself off from everyone around me emotionally. I didn't talk to anyone. I had my tiny little sewing corner, and that was where I was, and that was what I did, and I did not talk to anyone. There were a few times some of my friends met up. I was like, I'm not coming, and I just closed everyone out for this summer. And so now we're coming into this year, my senior year, and something else that lines up with that is the creation of Colleen Cosplay. I started posting in July, and it was something that I just felt really strongly about doing. I felt like maybe I could help people in some way, at least in the very practical way of teaching people how to make cosplay, and then maybe in another way in inspiring people, like my story, I guess. So I felt really strongly about it. I don't know, it was just something that clicked, and I'd been sewing all this time, so I got really good at cosplay really fast, and I finally reached a level where I was good enough I felt I could put my cosplays on the internet and it would not be embarrassing. I had never edited a video before. I'd never like recorded a vlog before. I looked into doing YouTube, and I'd been watching a few other YouTubers, and I saw them doing vlogs in cosplay, and I'm like, that's a thing. That's a thing that people do. Maybe I can still do something, like, and maybe do something to help others. That's even better, because me staying in my basement and blocking everyone out and sewing for 20 plus hours a week is not healthy. That's not what I want to do. I need something fulfilling to put into my life. And that was my YouTube origin story. I saw other YouTubers. Most notably, I was inspired by a YouTuber named Anya Panda. She designed this lovely tank top. She just seemed so strong, and she just did it, you know? She just got into cosplay, she did videos, she just did so good, and she had her own problems, which she got over, and I was like, oh, look at her, look at how she's overcoming her problems, and she's using this platform of YouTube. I was just so like, wow! She was most notably the YouTuber that inspired me to start. She made a video, it was called like, How I Make My YouTube Videos or something like that. It was something more eloquent. In that video, she's like, if you've been wanting to do it, just do it. And so in my mind at the time, and I was still like going through a really rough time, in my mind I was like, oh, I'll just do it. Like, Anya said that if you want to do YouTube, you should just do it. Like, don't hold back. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. And I started doing my YouTube channel. So I started that in July. But then it gets to, okay, so that was the summer. We're coming back around to fall now. So in fall, I went to go see a specialist for my knee, and we were very hopeful that if we went to someplace bigger with better technology, better doctors, that we'd have some sort of thing to go off of. We'd have something. And I had spent 3 months waiting for the appointment, and I went to the appointment, and they said, there's nothing we can do. We've seen cases like yours. We cannot cure them, and we've never been able to cure them, and there's nothing we can do. And that was kind of when I like accepted it, because before I had this idea that I was only disabled, like it was short term. I had arthroscopic knee surgery. It failed. I've had cortisone injections into my knee. They failed. I've had physical therapy. It's failed. And recently I had a nerve block procedure, so that's going down pain management, and that also failed. And like obviously I used the brace too. I've done icing, I've done like loads of ibuprofen, which isn't that healthy. And so I've tried everything, and this doctor was kind of like my last hope, I guess. So he says there's nothing we can do. And I said, if it gets worse, can I call again? And they said, no, don't bother calling back. We can't fix what you have. That was like the thing that just kind of made it click. Like, you need to look at permanent disability, or at least long term. I'm sure they'll be able to fix it one day. If not, when I'm a grandma, they can give me a knee replacement. The other thing that happened is I had to sell my horse. And that horse, I basically treated her as my child. I didn't have that many friends, and it was getting to the point that every time I went to take care of her, I was getting injured. The thing with horses is, at least with mine, she could be a brat. So when she could tell that I could not hold her in line, basically, she took advantage of that. It was not good, and I held on to that so hard. Another thing that I did not want to give up. You deserve better, your horse deserves better, okay? And so at that point, all I really had left was cosplay and YouTube at this time. I mean, I was still doing school and work. I was on my senior year in mechanical engineering, but all I had left was cosplay and YouTube. And that stress relief, it kind of manifested itself into, like, at the time, it had become this unhealthy, like, sewing all the time, not talking to people. I felt that got a lot better with YouTube, because then I was creating for other people and not just for myself. Whereas before, I was so absorbed in just doing something, anything that would make me not think about it. And when I got to the point that I was doing YouTube, it was for you guys. And that's the thing that got me out of that place where I was. It's okay because I found something new and something I can do that will help other people. And I can do all these things, like, I could do all these things without a leg at all. When I learned how to sew, that saved me. And then when I put that together with YouTube, it took that and it took it to a whole nother level. In December, I met my boyfriend, and he's very supportive. He never saw me as disabled or like crippled. As I have gotten worse, he's still been supportive. With each new thing, I was like, I'm getting more and more crippled and maybe like less and less valuable. And that was not the case, at least with him. he always treated me like, you're very valuable, and this thing, it does not matter to me. Not that he doesn't care about it, but as far as my worth, it didn't do anything to degrade any of my worth to him. I guess I kind of found a new way to live. I got like a lot stronger mentally. I learned that it's okay to quit things. It's okay to not do everything. It's okay to not be perfect or whatever. It's okay to quit if you have to quit to help yourself. There's some good things that came, but the reason I say it's a sad story is I'm not gonna get better. It's gonna keep progressively getting worse, and I feel like that means I'll just keep getting stronger to overcome it. Now, if I'm upset, I take that and I throw it into my work, and then I give all that work right back to other people. That has made me so much mentally stronger because I've learned how to give up if I need to. I've learned how to quit some things, and I've learned how to make compromises, and that is huge. And if I had not had this disability, Colleen Cosplay would not exist. It's something that I was able to create from the situation I'm in. Like I've said in my other videos, this disability is my weakness, overcoming it is my strength. And I feel that my disability is my strength in a way, and I don't want to hide that. So that's the full story, and it's not going to affect how I make content. Right now, I graduated with my mechanical engineering degree. I am working a job full-time, and on top of that, I'm going to keep doing cosplay, and I'm going to keep making videos because I guess Colleen still doesn't give up. I've learned to give up some things, but man, I am still stubborn. Ooh, I'm stubborn. That's me. That's my disability story. That is the formation of Colleen Cosplay, and that is my story. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.